We anticipate in the next 10 to 12 years, approximately 8 to 6 million Hispanics coming into the United States and 41 million Asians. You have been the majority minority for 400 years in this country. You're going to get the number 2 population for 400 years. You're going to get child number 2. You're going to go down to number 4. Now, common sense, even a third-grade education can tell you, if you didn't get anything with number 2, you almost don't get it, but anyway, you can guess what it's going to get you to become number 4.
President Biden, do you support reparations?
Well, let me have spoken this case. Number one, the reason we're the country we are is because of innovation. We've been able to cherry pick the best from every single country. The people who come here have determination, resilience. They are ready to stand up and work like the devil. We have 24 out of 100 children in our school today is Hispanic. The idea that we are going to walk away and not provide every opportunity for them is that not only stupid and immoral, but it's bad for America. They are the future of America.
Through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest. It meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with economic force. But not only did they give the land, they built land colleges, government money to teach them how to farm. This is what we are faced with. And this is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
We are owed $104 trillion on the very low end, plus $735 billion recurring. This number does not include the cost of about 50 Black Wall Streets that were decimated, nor compound interest from 2017 when Sean D. Rochester's book, The Black Tax, was published, nor the cost of Black life, nor the cost of living increases, nor the war on drugs, nor the current day pandemic. The number I'm working with is for slavery, Jim Crow, and accrued ongoing systemic racism, oppression, and disadvantage in the country our ancestors built with their lives. Good evening, family. Good evening on the West Coast. Good evening in the mountain. Good evening in the central. Good evening on the East Coast. You know exactly who it is, family. Angela Nirvana, your hostess with the mostest on the Reparationist Perspective, bringing you those ADOCs, hot topics, and making the case for reparations. Making the case for weaponizing our vote and socializing our suffering. And today, family, my heart is heavy. It hasn't been this heavy since George Floyd. I try my best to stay away from the Ida B. Wells 2.0 topics of anti-Black racism. And then I think about Ida B. Wells and what she had to endure to bring the reports of the strange fruit swinging from the poplar trees in the South. What's up, Terry Lewis? I see you. I see you, Ron Hall. Thank you so much for joining the live. Please Like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications, family. So, when it comes to these kind of topics, I try to stay clear from them since Mr. George Floyd's execution by the glacier donkey, white inferior Derek Chauvin. But sometimes I just have to allow the spirit of the ancestors to push me forward because, what's up, Jennifer Meadows? I see you, family. Thank you for joining the live. Yeah. The ancestors endured far more than I have to endure. And the corporate with 3Ks, LAMESTREAM media, clearly isn't talking about the execution and the kidnaps of about close to 200,000 Black kids and youths. You understand? So, me as a part of the new Black media have to traumatize myself and you and talk about it because it needs to be talked about now. The challenge with being ADOX is we are being pushed from every direction. We are being squeezed on every affront, and we need all hands on deck in this movement. And it is stories like Jelani Day, when you see this beautiful young man who was in competition with his sister to keep their grades impeccable, both of them in grad school, both of them aspire to become doctors. Okay? Not that any of our people are okay to kidnap and annihilate and butcher. Not a one. I'd go hard if he was a thug because he's one of ours. And we understand, family, how we get here by design of institutional systemic racism. This is not osmosis. This is not because we refuse to pull ourselves up by our bootless straps. But they are literally genociding our people as me and my comrades are in the fight of our lives to unask the trillions of reparations we are owed over multi-generations. While this government continues to give it away to immigrants and to line their own pockets. We continue to get plagued with the Jelani Days, the Jason Smiths, the Kendrick, I can't think of the baby's last name that was rolled up in the mat after they took his organs. So since the corporate with 3Ks, LAMESTREAM media refuses to talk about our Holocaust, family, that we've been living since they dragged us over here in chains. No, we're not immigrants. We were sold and stolen into this country. And it is our ancestors' heinous chattel slave labor that built all the wealth these Mickey Fickies eat from. And what do we get? Mr. George Floyd, Mr. Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, Sandra Bland, Tamir Rice, Philando Castile, Jelani Day, Jason Smith, and damn near 200,000 missing Black kids as they focus on their own Gabrielle Petito. While you claim the person that killed her, we can't find him. We cannot find him, but you can find me in Facebook, Racebook, and disable 4,500 subscribers. Oh, you can find me. I do believe Jelani was missing before Gabrielle Petito. And I'm just now finding out through the new black media. Because black life does not matter in this country. If you come over here and talk about all motherfucking lives matter in my feed today, you will be disappeared. If you come up in my feed talking about blue lives matter, all lives matter, come in my feed with that shite today, you will be disappeared. I'm not the one or the motherfucking two right now. Erie Blackfire, I see you. I see you, Darlene Krumade. Thank you so much for joining the live. Let me share the King's mother on CNN, and we're going to get into these topics. I'm going to talk about the missing black kids. I'm going to talk about Jelani. I'm going to talk about these rabbis. I'm going to talk about organ harvesting. Oh, I'm talking about it since the Clinton News Network with 3 Ks. Don't give a damn about our black lives while they give our reparations to the immigrants. They've neutralized us economically. Now they're coming for the vote. Let me share my screen, family. Stand by.
A tragic update to a mystery out of Illinois. Jelani Day, an Illinois State University grad student, went missing a month ago. He was last seen on campus and at a store in Bloomington. His family has been pleading for weeks for any help to find Jelani. And last night, his body, identified as the one found in a river weeks ago. Jelani was just 25 years old. And joining me now is his mother, Carmen Bolden Day. Thank you so much for being with us. I'm so sorry for your loss. How were you told of the news that this body was identified as your son?
I was called the day before and was told that there were some clothes that were found on the riverbank where the body was found. Today is Friday. Those clothes were found on Tuesday. No, those clothes were found on Wednesday by 2 bored girls from ISU that decided they would go down to where they found the body. The Peru Police Department called me, sent me pictures of the clothing. At first, I didn't recognize the clothing, but after looking at the picture, last seen when Jelani was at Beyond Hello, the clothes were definitely his. Then, I guess after me being on television and asking for help and pleading for help, the coroner finally called me because I hadn't heard from him nor the Peru police since September 4th. They called me. He had finally gotten dental records that I had given him information to get back on September 6th of my son, and told me he finally obtained dental records September 21st. And he called me. He had such enthusiasm. He said, "Carmen, we've got dental records for your son." And I said, "Well, you had me take a DNA to identify for this body, so don't we wait for the DNA, because you told me that the DNA was the important part because this body was so decomposed." He said to me, "Do you want to know if this is your son or not?" They were so rude to me. They asked me to come there on Friday, which me and my family did. Then they read us the results. Now, suddenly, after 20-something odd days, they now have the DNA results. They now have the dental. See, I was told over a week ago they didn't have the solution to process the DNA.
Yeah.
I would have to wait longer.
Carmen, just so people know, the body was found this body was found September 4th, and it took them till now.
September 4th. My son, they discovered his car on September 26th. No, I'm sorry.
August
26th.
Yeah.
August 26th. I'm sorry. August 26th. I wanted searches done. Prior to me getting to the spot where his car was found, they told me that night, we've already done an extensive search and we've had this search crew come in. It just didn't seem right to me. So Saturday, I had to organize my own search.
Have they told you, and again, the body was found September 4th and it took till now to identify it. Have they given you any information about an investigation into the cause of death?
No. To them, Jelani didn't mean anything. There's no effort. There's no push. There's no nothing that was being done about my son. I did all that lab work. Me and my kids, me and everybody that never knew Jelani, my family, friends, strangers, did all the legwork. My son didn't get any type of help. And I'm pissed.
I can understand.
Because he didn't deserve this. Jelani was going to school. He said, Mama, him and my youngest daughter, they both are going to be doctors. Dr. Jelani Day, Dr. Zana Day. They have this competition with each other to make sure their GPAs stay up. Both of them are in grad school. My son wasn't involved in the streets. He wasn't a gangbanger. He wasn't nothing. But I guess if that could have been their narrative, then it would have been, let's forget about him. But he was a productive citizen. I raised a good young man. And somebody did this to him. And then they sat there yesterday when they read those results to me and they giving me their reports. They implied that Jelani drove himself to Peru, parked his car in this wooded area, walked himself down to this bank and stripped his car and got in this water. My son knows how to swim. My son wouldn't have done this. He was not depressed. He wasn't nothing wrong with him.
Carmen,
they about the challenges of his program.
Yeah.
Jelani's been in this chapter for 4 years in undergrad. So,
Carmen, keep him close.
I'm sorry.
No, we're sorry. We're so sorry for your loss, and we're so sorry for the struggles that you've had over the last month. We want you to keep him close to your heart. Keep his memory alive, and we'll help push for answers here as to what happened to your son, Jelani Day. Again, we are thinking of you.
Now, let's get into it, family.
I'm Chance Seals in Washington. He was a 25-year-old.
Hold on one second. I got to turn that off. Twitter demands justice for Jelani Day after the autopsy finds organs were removed from his body. Now I'm over on the other side, reading to you and commenting as I always do. Follow on in. Please like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Day's brain, his eyeballs, spleen, and more were removed from his body and autopsy found. Now, what I know of this story so far, after listening to some of my comrades, in their own spaces here, is that the body was found on the 4th. And what these folks are literally trying to allude to is that these body parts that were removed just disintegrated. In the short space of time between the 26th of August, when he went missing, to September the 4th, they waited as long as they did to tell the mother, because it was going to take from the time they reported him missing to the time that they did the autopsy for the organs to disintegrate. So they knew on the 4th, but she didn't learn till like the 26th. Well, I think she reported it on the 24th, somewhere around there. I think her dates are off. Maybe mine are off. Let's just put it like this. It takes about 30 days for your organs to decompose if it's in the water. Okay? But you found it on the 4th. So at the time you found it, that was not enough time for those body parts to become decomposed, family. It would have taken from the time of that report till the time that they told her and identified him as her son. It would have taken that long for him to have been in that water before his organs would have started to disintegrate. Do you smell a cover-up? I do. Secondly, she mentioned about his car being in a remote part of the woods. Now, the last day she talked to him on the 23rd of August, she was packing and preparing for travel. And they, kept in touch often. But she thought not much of it when she had not heard from him for the rest of the day. It was not until around, I want to say, the 24th or the 25th when his professor reached out to her, because it was unlike this doctor, this pre-med student, to not show up for class. He was supposed to meet with his professor, and he didn't show up to class. He was supposed to meet the professor before the class, or he was dressed to meet the professor. I don't have all that worked out, but he did not show up to class on the 24th. And the professor's like, that's unlike him. Let me reach out, make sure everything is okay. We missed the meeting on the 23rd. Let me just call and make sure everything's copacetic. So she reaches out to the mom and says he didn't show to class. Well, that was unlike him. That's when she started trying to find her son and kept going to the voicemail. And around the 25th, the 24th, 25th, that's when she reported him missing. They found this body. They start talking about, don't speculate. We don't know if it's his. She supplied them with everything they asked for. They treated her like shite. The police department and the coroners. Okay? And then you finally tell her, like the 30th day, that somehow these organs dissipated in the water. But you found him on the 4th, and then he was reported missing around the 24th, 25th, 26th. He wasn't in that water long enough for all of his organs to liquefy, when it takes about 30 days for your organs in water to liquefy. So you're going to tell on the 30th day to cover up the fact that his body parts were missing when you found him on the 4th. Another thing that makes that story very, very flawed. Why did it take a week after they found the car for 2 girls to be walking a mile from, where he allegedly got in the water to kill himself, even though he knew how to swim? Why did it take that long for those clothes to be found by those 2 girls? You go see his Chrysler 300 parked in the woods in a deserted area, and you don't drag the river, you don't walk up and down, but you told the mother that you did a thorough research of the area where his car was found. And miraculously, a week after you told the mother you had done your job, a couple of girls find his clothes, coincidentally, about a mile from where the body was ultimately found. Another thing that's extremely flawed is that his jaw was sawed off and his brain was missing. So if it takes 30 days for your organs to disseminate and turn to jelly and liquefy, because you've been in the water this time, how did his jawbone get sawed off? The foreskin was missing off his penis. That could maybe happen, I suppose, in water. But you're talking organs that are missing. You want to tell us it was liquefied, but you've got evidence that his jaw was sawed off. And his brain is missing. Social media users are demanding justice for Jelani Day and his family amidst disturbing findings from his recent autopsy. According to the Chicago Sun-Times, an autopsy performed by a private forensic pathologist found that Day's corpse was missing its organs, including his brain, liver, and spleen. His eyeballs had reportedly been removed. How did they liquefy if they were removed? His front, top, and bottom teeth were missing. His jawbone had been sawed off, and his genitalia was unidentifiable. A pathology report added that Day's organs were completely liquefied. According to MEAWW, his family's attorney, Hallie M. Besner, is currently seeking out scientific explanations for how his body could have decomposed so severely in such a short span of time. August 26th through September the 4th. I smell a cover-up, akin to the other young men whose bodies have been found and organs have been missing. A body discovered in the Illinois River near Peru, Illinois, on September 4, over a week after his August 24th disappearance, was confirmed to be Day's on September the 23rd. Damn near a month later, when it's reasonable to believe that your organs had liquefied, but not with all the other evidence, especially given that you found this body on the 4th. Police have since called the circumstances surrounding the 25-year-old Illinois State University student's death and disappearance very suspicious. Before his body was found, Day's mother expressed her frustration about the lack of coverage regarding his disappearance. Quote, I was very frustrated with the fact that Jelani hadn't been getting the coverage, Carmen Day told the Sun-Times. Jelani has been missing for 24 days. It appears that help has ceased. I'm imploring, pleading, and asking that the police still pay attention and look for my son. At the time, media coverage was heavily centered around missing woman Gabby Petito, about whom Day's mother said her face is plastered everywhere and the FBI is involved. And I do not understand why Jelani doesn't get that same coverage. Jelani doesn't get that same attention. Because they want the case to go cold. On Monday, October 11, Justice for Jelani Day began trending on Twitter as users pointed out the disturbing circumstances surrounding his death. Quote, "One day y'all will soon realize organ trafficking is just as real and scary as sex trafficking." Oh, they know it. They're complicit. It's big money. I got some stuff to read to you. Stand by. If you look into how many Black bodies are found with no organs inside of them, you'll be very surprised and disgusted, one person wrote. An article about Jelani Day today said multiple of his organs were missing from his body. I definitely feel like they organ trafficked this young man. Doesn't this eerily remind you of the movie Get Out? Quote, Jelani didn't kill himself. His body was found with no organs, no eyes. His genitalia was damaged, etc. This wasn't a suicide. He was murdered, and no one is coming forward, another person tweeted. Setting the stage for a cold case. This will not be resolved. On Saturday, October 9, it might be resolved once the mother loses her home, paying for it to be resolved through her PIs. Maybe somebody will take the case pro bono. On Saturday, October 9, hundreds of Day's friends, family, and neighbors gathered at Danville High School to celebrate his life and legacy. See post about the autopsy's findings on Twitter below. I'm not going to get into that because we got a lot to cover. Welcome to the live. Please like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Chat amongst yourselves. I'll be over there. I'll be over there as soon as I'm done over here. So let's get into it. Black kids go missing at a higher rate than white kids. Here's why we don't hear about them. The chilling story of Jamie Kloss, the 13-year-old Wisconsin girl who was kidnapped after her parents were killed last year. This is from November 3rd, 2019. Was national news. But people might be less familiar with the story of Ariana Fitz, a 2-year-old who went missing in 2016 before her mother was found brutally murdered in the San Francisco Bay Area. Each of these cases is compelling, but the two didn't receive the same amount of media attention. Some experts believe it's because Kloss is white and Fitz is Black. In fact, data shows that missing white children receive far more media coverage than missing Black and brown children, despite higher rates of missing children among communities of color. The FBI's National Crime Information Center database lists 424,066 missing children under 18 in 2018, the most recent year for which data is available. About 37% of those children are Black, even though Black children only make up about 14% of all children in the U.S. It's hard to say how many Hispanic kids are missing. The FBI's report groups white and Hispanic children together. Based on other reports, about 20% of missing children are Hispanic or Latino, according to Robert Lowry, Vice President of the Missing Child Division at the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. But the real number, he said, is likely higher. Quote, I think, and that same is true for us. It's likely higher than 37%. They're not accurately doing the data. We've got about 1 million Black kids or more lost to the Margaret Sanger abortions and being neutralized economically. And now we've got close to 200,000 missing Black boys, girls, and young adults. But the media doesn't talk about this, so it's up to me and the other new Black media to keep this on blast until a change comes. I think there's a false belief that white children make up the biggest number of missing children, when in fact, proportionally, it's just the opposite, Lowry said, adding that the high number of Black girls reported missing is particularly concerning. Here are some reasons experts say we don't hear more about missing children of color. Their families are hesitant to call the police. When you see the trauma of the Glacier Donkey race soldiers, wherein ADOX is concerned, do you want to involve the police? For them to approach the situation, annihilate your loved one? It's no wonder. And yet the Biden administration gives Asians protections, and we can't even get a George Floyd Justice in Policing Act. But we, 87% of our electorate, not me, delivered Biden the White House. We've gotten a Juneteenth and a hip-hop holiday, while he's spending our reparations to bring in Afghan refugees and Latinas and Mexicans and anybody that can be the albatross around ADOX necks to make us the permanent anchor of this country's capitalism with 3 Ks. And so now we're disappearing through organ harvesting, sex trafficking. And nothing is being done about it by the Department of Justice. And this was one of the best and brightest of, he was on his way to becoming a doctor. So they don't discriminate. They don't discriminate, which is why we need all hands on deck. It doesn't matter how degreed you are or how well you're paid annually. None of us are free until all of us are free. The best and the brightest. This could have been any of our best and brightest. Your own best and brightest. That's what incites me. That's what keeps me driving on the reparationist perspective. My own. And while I'm an empath, yes, I am. I feel for our people because I understand the institutional systemic racism that has tethered us to the bottom as bottom caste in the country our ancestors built with their lives. It is not your fault. It is not our fault. We've been legislated down to the bottom. And we've got a lame CDC that's powerless to do anything about it. Why haven't they taken to the streets? There's a sense of distrust between law enforcement and the minority community, said Natalie Wilson, co-founder of the Black and Missing Foundation. That distrust contributes to a silent code of no snitching, Wilson said, adding that it is important for people who suspect a child is missing to speak up. Me speaking. It's not even a matter of I get that snitching can be a challenge for some, but oftentimes the police have their own gangs and they're complicit. In the case of Kendrick and Jason Smith, the boys involved in the executions of their children were members of the FBI. And when did that report come out? I think in 2006. The FBI said, y'all hiring the KKK all throughout the country onto the police force. So you could be dealing with a gang member when you call the police. You could be dealing with the KKK, like the one that kneeled on Mr. Floyd's neck. And they're not just white glacier donkeys, they're Asian glacier donkeys, black glacier donkeys. Because white supremacy comes in all colors in this country. And they're on the police force and they're covering for each other. And that's the hesitancy of calling the police. It could be your child, your mother, your father that's missing, she said. You would want someone to speak up to help find them. Other families might not report their child is missing because they fear it could have unintended negative consequences. Yeah, like, well, Makia Bryant, she wasn't missing, but they blew 4 shots through her chest while she out there trying to fight off adult women who were once in the foster care system. You never know how these things are going to end up. But we can't get a George Floyd Justice and Policing Act to end qualified immunity. For example, Lowry suspects missing Latina children are underreported because some families with undocumented members might not contact police for fear of being deported. They don't give as much media coverage. Ding, 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 ding. The news media orgs have been criticized for not giving missing Black children the amount of attention they give missing white kids. A 2010 study found that Black children were significantly underrepresented in TV news. Even though about 1/3 of all missing children in the FBI's database were Black, they only made up about 20% of the missing children cases covered in the news. A 2015 study was bleaker. Though Black children accounted for about 35% of missing children cases in the FBI's database, they amounted to only 7% of media reference. Experts say media coverage is vital to helping solve those cases. Quote, it puts law enforcement on alert, and they add additional resources to the case, Wilson said. If no one knows about it, then no one's doing anything to find them or to help them get the assistance they need. We're a month into Mr. Jelani Day's disappearance. Over a month. That trail is cold. And you got a badly decomposed body with missing organs that they're now trying to say liquefied, even though his jawbone was sawed off and his brain is missing and his liver and his spleen. Come on now. Families don't have the resources. This is what happens, family, when you don't fight for your reparations in the trillions over multi-generations. Miss Day will probably have to put her home up if she ever expects to piece together what happened to her son. This will be a cold case. They neutralized us economically. Our national median income is around $30,000. The national median home price is around $380,000. So when you're living in a white supremacist country with 3 Ks, you need lots of cheddar to get justice. Because although you pay taxes, you ain't got no justice, no peace when it comes to something that happens to you or yours. Families don't always have the financial resources to respond appropriately when their child is missing. They may not be able to afford a private investigator and take off from work to help look for their child and follow up with law enforcement in the media. Could you afford to look for your family, your daughter, your son, if this were you? Well, guess what? Only about 10% of us could. And the majority of those are immigrants, Black immigrants. 90% of us share less than $700 billion since COVID. White folks and immigrants share over $100 trillion household dollars. So could you afford it, or would you have to use all your resources to take care of the kids who are with you, to protect the kids who are with you? They know exactly what they've done to genocide our people at every branch of government. And in some cases, they may not know what to do. Wilson said some people are under the misconception that they must wait 48 hours before filing a police report when that waiting period varies by location. Places like Illinois or DC don't have waiting periods to report a child missing. Knowing the laws in your state helps, and when in doubt, contact law enforcement immediately. There are other resources that families can utilize as well. The Black and Missing Foundation helps families of color file police reports, create missing posters, and spread the word about missing children. Facebook groups, often an online community for parents to alert the public about their missing child and ask questions of others who have had similar experiences. Eliseo Montoya, who runs a Facebook group, Runaway and Missing Children in California, said he keeps the page going because it allows families to feel like they're doing something even when it seems like authorities are giving up. Quote, a page like mine is very important for people of color because nobody really embraces people of color, Montoya said. Some get classified as runaways. How convenient. When most people think of missing children, they think of young children abducted by strangers, but missing children can refer to kids who are abducted by relatives or children who leave home, either voluntarily or after being lured by someone else. Many missing children of color are classified as runaways, Wilson said, and while running away from home isn't a problem unique to non-white children, they are particularly vulnerable. A significant number of non-white children who go missing are either homeless or in foster care, said Wilson, and many are at risk for sex trafficking. Data shows Black children are overrepresented in foster care and are at a much higher risk for homelessness. Law enforcement often classify children of color as runaways without having all the details, Wilson said, because those kids are considered to have voluntarily left home. Amber alerts aren't sent out about them, and they typically aren't covered in the news. Runaway cases and abductions by family members don't get the same attention that abductions by non-family members or strangers do. But all these scenarios fall under the missing umbrella. A child is missing if they are under the age of 18 and their legal guardian doesn't know where they are. The NCMEC no longer distinguishes between runaways and abductions on their posters of missing children. Quote, frankly, we were dealing with a desensitized public and media when we did that, Lowry said. Now, if you check our website, our children are just listed as missing child. Wilson stressed that runaway cases should be treated with the same urgency. Quote, we have to be mindful, she said. What did they leave from and what are they ultimately running to? Our children, family, ADOX. Sometimes children of color get classified as runaways when they are truly missing. Wilson said her organization has seen many such cases. We tell parents all the time, you know your child better than anyone else. Their behavior, their characteristics, she said. If you believe your child did not run away, you just have to stand firm with law enforcement and let them know that this is uncharacteristic of your child. But what do they like to do? What do they like to do, family? They want us to believe that a pre-med student who was dressed to the nines to meet with his teacher, who somewhere clearly had a change of clothing in between the time he was to meet with the teacher and the missed appointment, who didn't show up to class, and the professor got concerned because this is what he does. He does not skip classes. So they want us to believe a child on the road to greatness just decided to drive himself into a secluded woods, leave his Chrysler 300, get out, get undressed, jumped in the river, knows how to swim, and drowns. And that his body parts liquefied in less than 10 days from the time he was reported missing. With a sawed-off jawbone and a missing brain. Oh, my God. So let's talk about it some more. Organ trafficking. Rabbis arrested over massive crime ring. Now, this was in July 24, 2009. But as I'm screaming up and down in Facebook about the situation, someone tells me, oh, remember those 40-plus rabbis that got arrested over the massive crime ring for trafficking organs? And yet they remain unbothered by damn near 200,000 missing Black boys, girls, young adults. No news coverage. They ran away. The dog ate their homework. Pick a reason why it matters not. And why we scream Black Lives Matter as they try to co-opt that and make it everybody's lives matter. All lives matter. The hell with you. If Black Lives Matter, we wouldn't have 2 million Black men in jail in the not-so-new slavery called the private prison industrial complex. If Black Lives Matter, we still wouldn't have slavery down in the deep South. Oh, yeah, pick up the Cotton Picking Truth on Prime and look at that documentary. Slavery's still going on in the deep South, and Obama knew about it. And both sides of the aisle, Democrats and Republicans alike, know that it exists. The Cotton Picking Truth picked that up. We wouldn't have if Black Lives Matter, we wouldn't have the preschool to prison pipeline. If Black Lives Matter, we wouldn't be the highest unemployed, the highest underemployed. The least ownership for homes and businesses. The least amount of income. If Black Lives Matter. So don't tell me about all lives, blue lives, gay lives. Don't come for me unless I send for you. Charges of extortion, bribery, money laundering, and human organ trafficking were stunning even for a state long notorious for official corruption and organized crime. 5 rabbis were among suspects, along with the mayors of Hoboken, Secaucus, and Ridgefield, the Jersey City deputy mayor and council president, 2 state assembly members, and numerous other politicians, prosecutors said. This is why slavery won't be done. And this is why they'll continue to kidnap our vulnerable and our brightest. Big money on the black market for Black body parts, Black organs. Big money. It's such a racket. That's why they ain't doing shite about it. Acting U.S. Attorney for the District of New Jersey, Ralph Mara, told a press conference the sweep demonstrated the pervasive nature of public corruption in this state. The politicians willingly put themselves up for sale, he said, while clergymen cloaked their extensive criminal activity behind a facade of rectitude. Raids began shortly after dawn on Thursday, officials said, targeting a who's who of state leaders. Television footage showed FBI and tax agents bringing a stream of handcuffed suspects, including rabbis wearing traditional Orthodox Jewish garb, into custody in the city of Newark. But Petito's murderer is missing. Other suspects were shown being put onto a bus. The sweep was believed to be one of the biggest such actions ever in a state long associated with corruption and famous as the setting of the hit mafia TV drama The Sopranos. Officials said the arrests were a part of an ongoing 10-year probe into statewide corruption of code name Big Rig. Democratic State Governor John Corzine said the scale of corruption we're seeing As this unfolds, it's simply outrageous and cannot be tolerated. Any corruption is unacceptable, anywhere, anytime, by anybody, he said in a statement. FBI officials painted a picture of brazen criminality. The money laundering ring allegedly stretched from New Jersey and New York to Israel and Switzerland, while politicians easily exploited loopholes in state law to disguise bribes as campaign contributions. Although New Jersey is more famous for a history of Italian mafia families, it was Jewish clergy who allegedly played a central role in the crime network. Authorities raided several synagogues, and among those arrested was the chief rabbi of Syrian Jews in the U.S. One rabbi, Levi Ishak Rosenbaum, was charged with conspiring to broker the sale of a human kidney for transplant. Mara said Rosenbaum's business was to entice vulnerable people to give up a kidney for $10,000 US, which he told would turn around and sell for $160,000. He'd allegedly been peddling kidneys for a decade. The dramatic crackdown came as Chris Christie, a crusading former U.S. lawyer, stepped up his campaign against Corzine in an election this November. Christie, a Republican, previously won fame for his relentless and successful prosecution of political corruption in New Jersey. Corzine is battling widespread dissatisfaction with his performance as the state reels from the national recession, spending cuts, and furloughs for state employees. The investigation has transcended multiple administrations of both political parties, he said. This is not about politics, certainly not about religion. It is about crime. It is about criminals who use politics and religion. Let me silence my phone, family. Welcome to the live. Please like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Thank you to all of you who have donated to the show via the Cash App and PayPal displayed in the bottom bar. It is enabling me to take the show to the next level, to get more involvement into the reparationist movement, into changing policies and legislation, to bring about our inclusion in social justice and economic inclusion. Okay? So I thank you. You pay for the intro, you pay for the outro. You help to offset the cost of the StreamYard. You're enabling me to continue to educate the masses and advocate for ADOX, the DOAX, B1, FBA, ADOS, Friedman. So I thank you one and all. Okay, let me move next to another. I wanted to research something here because I hear that Jelani Day and Jason Smith, in particular, let's talk about Jason Smith because, hold on. Just give me a second, family. I got to find the article. Now, this was a 14-year-old. Hold on. The Jason Smith story. Now, this was in 2011. He was found with missing organs, and it was ruled an accidental drowning, however, no lungs in the body. Man, this story is not extensive enough. Hold on, family. Let's see if this one is. Are we going in today? Okay, what happened to 14-year-old Jason Smith? His death was ruled an accidental drowning by the coroner in Eros, Louisiana, but his body was found with his organs missing. Either that or, as Smith's family believes, somebody removed them. Smith's family is convinced that he was murdered in a racially motivated hate crime. Moreover, they are pointing the finger at the son of an FBI agent, suggesting that the crime is being covered up because of his involvement. Smith had been dead for hours before his body was recovered from a lake back on June 6, 2011. It is unreasonable to imagine, however, that the time his body was in the lake would have resulted in the decomposition or selective removal of organs by predators while the rest of his body was not destroyed. The organs had been removed for some other reason. Could have been removed to rid the investigation of any evidence contrary to the coroner's claim that Smith had died as a result of an accidental drowning. That is, no lungs, no proof that he didn't drown. Jason's father also claims that his son was sexually assaulted before being murdered. He alleges that Jason's murderers was the son of an FBI agent, and that is why this case is being covered up. Mr. Smith claims that police tried to kill him, and another son tried to kill him and another son when they were leaving the Louisiana town where the murder happened. Mr. Smith claims that police tried to kill him and another one of his sons when they were leaving the Louisiana town where the murder happened. After this murder happened, the story received so little attention that a petition calling for a federal investigation into Smith's death only received a few hundred signatures. Yeah, now I can't be reached. I was trying to show y'all the vid. Hold on, family, because one of my vloggers mentioned something about some of these organ removers are not, and the rapes of our black men before they murder them can also be attributed to white satanic worship. So hold on. Okay, that's too long. Just a second. Welcome to the live. Please like, share, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Occult criminal investigation. Oh, that's too long too. I may have to do this one another time, family. But one of my vloggers was mentioning that some of these rapes and missing organs of our black girls, boys, young adults could be also attributed to rituals. In the case of Jason Smith, hold on one second. He was hanging out. Let me tell you what I know of that story. He was hanging out with 5 of his white friends. And they went to the house and they told him to wear certain clothes. And, he had a Red Bull. But it is believed that they put something in the Red Bull because he automatically became so sleepy. He asked, I guess, the boy whose home that they were in, if he could lay down and get, just sleep it off. They sent him to the basement. No, I'm sorry. I'm confusing stories. One of my vloggers shared about a friend of hers whose son was victimized by his white buddies. I don't know the names in this particular case, but he was victimized by his white buddies They gave him a Red Bull that was laced with something, told him to go into the basement. And when he awakened, his trousers were down. He had been raped, gang raped by all the boys, all the white boys that were there. There were different signs of some type of worship. And some fluid was running from his anal cavity. And so he was told by these very boys he was running with that if he were to tell anybody about the incident, that they know some very powerful people that would murder his entire family. And this was a friend of hers that had gone to high school with her that told her about this particular incident. Okay. He ultimately, something happened in this satanic worship while he was asleep and being sodomized by these white boys because he had to go to therapy. The therapist had to reveal to the mother that he was not just raped, he was gang raped by these boys. And so he was, of course, broken. He's never been the same, having nightmares of satanic worship and all this kind of stuff. Whatever they did to him, this ritual haunts him to this very day. So, family, we got to fight with everything in us. We've got to fight because at least the reparations and the trillions over multi-generations would give you options. You'd be able to leave this country if that's what you choose. You would at least be able to leave some of these places where a lot of this darkness persists. We deserve to be living better than everybody here in this country. We deserve that because our ancestors' heinous chattel slavery built all the wealth everybody eats from but us. So we need all hands on deck. Now I was about to segue, and I may still do it. Let me just close this out and start another live. But I want to share here too, in case you guys don't join me back. It's a little late your time. Tomorrow, the 12th and the 13th, the California Reparations Task Force is meeting. So we're leaning in, despite the negative Nancy's out here, that saw Bruce's Beach delivered back to the descendants. A land that today is worth $75 million. We're not even talking about the properties that surround it, that are in the multiple millions. That's all been restored back to the Bruce descendants. And I don't know what other kind of goodies they got coming from having their land taken by eminent domain for $2,000. I think they ultimately gave the family $14,500. But the long and short of it is, that's accrued. What do I always teach y'all over here? I'm fighting for reparations in the trillions over multi-generations for slavery, Jim Crow, and accrued ongoing systemic racism, oppression, and disadvantage in the country our ancestors built with their lives. So the Bruces are all far more than just the land. They've got 100 years of accrued, compounded. So what we in the reparationist movement is doing is fighting for that for all of us. May not be as big as an award as what the Bruces were long overdue, but we want to make sure that all the money these white folks killed and stole from us as descendants of the greatest people in the world is restored. And so what you've got to understand is that doesn't happen overnight. You know? And I heard Phil on the African Diaspora show blaming us for instructing you guys to go out here and vote Democratic down ballot. He clearly doesn't understand what that means, but let me break it down for you. When you vote for anyone but the Democrats at the top of the ticket and a blue Congress to protect the over 50% of American descendants of U.S. chattel slavery who rely on government assistance by design of institutional systemic racism, You are sending a message to the Democrats that you will never run this country again as long as our black vote is contingent upon it. Until you run us our reparations in the trillions over multi-generations and our black agenda. We don't want just cash flowing through to our bank accounts. There's a lot to this that we demand. So if you tune in tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., 9 to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, you come back over here to the Reparations Perspective. I'm going to be telling them exactly what we are owed, not the exact number. I'm going to tell them about what I'd like to see reparations since y'all asking all the guests you invite. Because some of these flimsy suggestions from people who know how oppressed we are will never cut mustard for me. And class-based policies don't fix race. Don't tell me nothing about what Bernie Sanders and AOC and the alleged lefties are doing to fight for erasure of student loan debt for everybody but us specifically. If you give them another white wealth transfer, where are we? Still on the bottom. So no, I'm not fighting for class-based policies. I'm fighting to shut the government down by making way for a red top and a blue Congress. So nothing can get done. You won't do it willingly, Jim Crow Joe? Let the black vote be weaponized and then socialize this suffering. That was the best part of Donald Trump. Everybody was suffering. And Trump's policies weren't the albatross around our neck that this immigration is. Giving away all our money to bring these immigrants up and give them a comfy life. I think in New York, the illegals were given $15,000 apiece. We didn't get $15,000 combined, and then piddly ass, what were they called? Pandemic relief. Okay? That didn't amount to $15,000, and we're paying the taxes for them to come into our neighborhoods and oppress us and gentrify us out. So I've been giving them the blues. Every 9 o'clock when I'm able to speak, I stream it live for 2 straight days. You know, and if you want to make a comment during the 9 to 10 window that they give us, you get up to 3 minutes. You can make comment about how you'd like to see reparations, who the reparations should go to. That's tomorrow. Day 1 of this particular, I think we've been back for 3 or 4 months now. I'm losing count. I think this is the 4th month. We're back. We meet monthly on this, and we are at this table so that we can guarantee we're not on the menu. Politicians respond to pressure, not applause. You can't keep giving these trifectas to these Mickey-Ficky Democrats who give you a Juneteenth holiday that you was already celebrating. And now a hip-hop holiday when hip-hop is trash now. You have to go underground to find anything conscious. That's by design of institutional systemic racism. When you look at the whiteness that runs the music industry, that runs Hollywood. Okay, so that's tomorrow. Gmail me at thereprospect@gmail.com if you'd like to make public comments tomorrow to tell them who should get the reparations and what reparations would be for you. You get to speak on it, even if you don't live here. You get to speak on it because as California goes, so goes the nation. That is our push. The movement takes catnaps. So let me come over here and see who else joined me so that I can give you love. Martin, I see you, baby. Martin Norwood, welcome to the live. YVOC info. Robin Felix, I see you, love. Patricia Woodard. Jennifer Meadows, Darlene, Terry, Ron. I just love y'all black and strong for joining me in my tirade. I have nothing left to give. I told y'all the information for tomorrow. I may just do something brief to go over the agenda for tomorrow in another segment back to back. What's up, Trey X? I see you, family. I thank y'all so much for joining the live. Before I play the outro, I want to pray our prayer of protection, family. Oh, we need it now more than ever. We need all hands on deck. We need all y'all pushing and spreading the word. And listen, if they had not leaned into Bruce's beach, the Bruces would now have their property restored to them. That was my point that I got lost because y'all know I was born to talk. Okay, had they not leaned in, family, they would not have been restored what this government stole from them. You understand what I'm telling you? So we can't afford to listen to the negative Nancys and Neds who tell us reparations will never happen. That's the same thing they said about the Bruces. It will never happen. And so for me, that's the mustard seed of faith I hold on to as I show up faithfully every day to give you a broadcast that's ADOX centered. You dig? So with that said, family, know this. Listen. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. I see a comment in here. I promise I will read some of the pertinent comments real quick. Let's see here. Yes, like, share, subscribe, turn on your notification. I think I saw my girl Y-Box dropping knowledge. Oh, Ron Hall says your passion and determination is inspiring. Thank you, Ron. I appreciate your kind words. Peace, love, and blessings to you. Terry Lewis is mourning for the family, sending prayers. Darlene as well. You can find melanin for sale on the stock market. Say what now, Jennifer? I got to look into that. We are their food. Yes, Jennifer. Wybot says a lynching, honey, as bad as Emmett Till. Patricia Woodard, we are on our own. We have no allies. You're right about that. Robin says melanin is worth 10 times more than gold now. Gold is worth $53. Melanin is worth $511. This is sick. I got to research this and do another show. Wyvox says the Jason Smith case is another likely lynching. One of the probable, let me flash it. One of the probable perpetrators was seen wearing some of Jason's clothing. They're shadow banning me, guys. I need you to like, share, subscribe, and turn on your notifications. Oh, thank you, Robin. Oh, Robin and her husband. Thank you for your donations. I appreciate you too so very much for your donations to the show. It really helps me to take it to the next level. It is imperative that we at least get, if we got 2 million, we'd be doing great. If 2 million of us was pushing as hard as you guys in the chat, y'all are everywhere. And I thank God for you. And I thank you so much for your donations. I really do. It helps a great deal to keep this going. We must keep the pressure on. That's why I named it the Reparationist Perspective. And that's why I show up every day as much as I can. When y'all don't see me, I'm in meetings. Back to back to back to back. Okay? Meeting with Department of Justice, Biden administration. We are putting in work. So I can't tell all of what's going on. But know that it's going down, contrary to the belief of Phil from the African diaspora. He went in on ADOS and how the push on HR 40 is all but dead. Let me explain something to you. If we had his audience pushing with us on fix HR 40, perhaps it wouldn't be. So I can't stand folks that come for us for suggesting down ballot when they clearly don't understand the mission of down ballot is to gridlock the government until we can replace the lanes with full-chested reparationists who believe in cash repair. and HR 40 needs fixing. It can't pass as it currently stands. So perhaps God has given us more time to lean in on that and get it handled. So I don't like people on the sideline putting all this pressure on the former ADOS movement. We've now gone off and done our own things in our own way. I'm with CJAC and I'm with NAASD, and yeah, we've gone off to do our own thing. But anyway, the bottom line is we need to come together and move as a block. Don't put the weight of delivering reparations solely on us. And don't sit up here talk about not showing up to the polls. That is crazy as hell to me. So you just want to play into the white supremacist gerrymandering and suppression of our vote as it stands. You want to help them out in the same way blacks help out the KKK when they commit crimes one unto another and murder one another. That's exactly what you're doing when you don't show up to the polls to cast your vote. And so I'm saying, don't suppress your vote, express your vote. Anybody at the top, you don't have to put a red up there, but you want to make way for red by voting green or libertarian. But please stop giving it to the Democrats, who have done nothing but tether us to the bottom as the anchor of this country's capitalism since FDR. Stop giving it to them. Stop giving them trifectas for them to give you their ass to kiss. We have to weaponize the vote and let everybody suffer. Everybody gets some of this suffrage other than just us, because that's all that is suffering right now, and the whole damn thing is blue. So with that being said, Martin says the majority of Phil's audience is foreign anyway. Oh, I see. I wasn't aware. That's right. Okay. Well, the bottom line is he's from Texas and he needs to stop spinning foolishness that he knows not of. If he wants reparations, get in this fight with us. Bring your Africans over here, to help us push for reparations on their shows. Why don't you talk about it like I talk about it? You're ADOX, but so many people want to just pay lip service and then blame us for when it don't go down. That's how that works. Blame the least of us. I don't have as many followers as he does. But we're getting that work done here in California and collectively throughout the nation. Those of us that founded the ADOS movement, who have moved on, and we're doing great things. So, puck what you heard. We're getting it done. I got the receipts. Do they? And with that being said, family, let me pray us out that the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever ADOX and its allies are, God truly is, because what, family? You are the face of God. You are the voice of God. You are the body temple of the Spirit of the living God. And with that being said, family, know that I love you black. I love you strong. You make it a beautiful, God-inspired rest of your evening until we meet again tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, for what is guaranteed to be another epic California Reparations Task Force meeting. Ciao for now, family. Peace.